This is 13.5 midpoint formula. This is the last section we do on chapter 13. Okay, so here's a warm-up. On the number line, here's a number line. If the point A and B have a coordinate of x1 and x2, the midpoint of the segment AB has the coordinate of the average of the two, which is the coordinate of this plus coordinate of this divided by 2. So for example, if this is 1 and this is 5, there are 4 points in between, right? So it's 2, 3, 4, 5. The midpoint of these should be 3, right? And if you do 1 plus 5 divided by 2, you get 3. Or for example, if this is minus 10, and this was, let's say, I don't know, 2. And so if you add them, you're going to get minus 8 divided by 2. It should be minus 4 is the midpoint. And there are 12 points in here. So you do minus 9, minus 8, minus 7, minus 6, minus 5, minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, and 2. So 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 2, counting from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the midpoint. So you can count to find the midpoint, or you can just take the average. Doesn't matter. One of them can be negative. It will still give you the average of the 2 points, which should give you the midpoint of the horizontal line. The idea can be used to find the midpoint of any horizontal or vertical segment. So you can do the same thing for the vertical point out here. So this one, if this were number point, the only thing that matters is negative 1 to 5, and midpoint is 2. This was 1 to 5, and midpoint was 3. If it was negative 1 to 5, the midpoint is 2. And then the y coordinate is the same because this is horizontal line. Here is the vertical line, right? So the x coordinate doesn't change at negative 2. The y coordinate changes from 1 to negative 3. So if you add them, okay, so now we are not counting the distances. We are worried about the coordinates. So the negative matters. So the distance between here is 3 plus 1 and 4, right? But since we are looking for the coordinate and we're looking for the average of 2, this plus this is minus 2 divided by 1 will give you negative 1. Okay, so we are no longer counting the distance. We are adding the 2 coordinates. We are taking the average of the 2 numbers. Okay, so you get the concept. So x1 plus y1, x1 plus x2 divided by 2 will give you the midpoint of the horizontal line. And y1 plus y2 over 2 will give you midpoint of vertical line. Right? That you understand. You're just taking the average. So what happens if the line is not vertical or horizontal but slanted? So here is x1 and y1 right here, and x2 and y2 right here, and you want to find the coordinate of this. How do you find it? First of all, this point should have a coordinate that corresponds to here and corresponds to here. The x value here and the y value here should give you this coordinate, right? And x value of this point have to be the same as here, right? It's the same x value. And the y value over here should be same as here, right? So this coordinate should be y value from here and x value from here, right? But you already know how to get the x value of this point. And you know how to get, the y value of this point, y value of this point, and x value of this point. How do we get y value of this point? The x doesn't change, y is changing, you take the average of the y, right? So y1 plus y2 divided by 2 will give you this point. And this one, the horizontal line, the average of these two, x1 plus x2 divided by 2 will give you this point, right? So this point coordinate is simply x1 plus x2 divided by 2 and y1 plus y2 divided by 2, and that's the coordinate midpoint. This is the midpoint formula. Nothing more than that. It's really the distance formula, midpoint formula. You can just, if you forget it, you can get it from the logic. Okay, there is no mystery here. Okay, so let's look at the objective. The state and apply the midpoint formula. Now, problem does get hard here, so don't get deceived by the simpleness of the concept being taught here. So here is what we just did, okay, and the midpoint formula right here. X coordinate of the midpoint is going to be the average of the horizontal line. Midpoint of y is going to be average of the vertical line, and we'll get this point and this point, which is the coordinate of this, okay? And let's do a couple problems and we are done for the video. All right, here's examples, and then we have practice. So we do examples and practice, okay? All right, so first example, find the midpoint of segment and the joint these. All right, this is just plug in and get, so do this. You can do this. Plug in to the formula, practice, and get the midpoints. Given the point 2, 1, and 8, 5, show the point P, the 3, 6, is on the perpendicular bisector of AB. Okay, so there are two ways to do this. One thing is that if you can get this distance and this distance, and they are the same, equal distance, then you have to be on the perpendicular bisector, right? So you can do two distance formula to prove this. Or another way to do it is get this midpoint, and then it's already midpoint. Get the we are trying to prove it's perpendicular bisector, so this has to be a midpoint. So you get the midpoint using the midpoint formula to get this coordinate, okay? And then you know the slope of this, so you can get the slope of this by making the opposite reciprocal. And since you know that this line is going to go through this point, you can get equation. And then if this line and this line intersect at this midpoint, then this is a perpendicular bisector. I think distance formula is quicker, but I wanted to try this. So actually, you should do both ways. Do both ways. Now, don't skip these practices. So A is perpendicular bisector theorem from chapter 4. In B, you get the slope, equation, and the midpoint of AB. Yeah, you have to prove that this is a midpoint, and you have to prove that this line that is perpendicular goes through this point. So I think this is more work, but okay, I'm going to try this. Don't skip. All right, and here is some practice. This is just to plug in. So I'm going to make you do this practice for homework and this one homework, because there's a B in there, which I know you don't like. And let's do these two on the video, okay? Because there are alphabets that I know you don't like. Okay, so the first let's get the x value. So x value is t and t plus 4. So t plus 4 divided by 2. Y value is 2 plus minus 4, which is minus 4 divided by 2. Right? I just plugged that into the formula. So that means this coordinate have to equal 2t plus 4 over 2 and minus 2 over 2. So that means t plus 2 and -1. That's the midpoint of these 2 points. Let's try this one. 8. X is A and D. So A plus D over 2. And N and P. N plus P over 2. Is there anything else you can do? No. That's it. That's where it stays. This is just plugging in alphabets into the phone. Okay, let's look at 9. M 3, 5 is the midpoint of P1 and P2, segment P1 and P2, where P1 has a coordinate of 0 and 1. Find the coordinate of P, and then what's a 10? Point 1 and -1 is midpoint of AB, where A has a coordinate of this. Find the coordinate of B. Okay, so since well, there's no homework on either way. So I'm going to do this one on the video, and I'm going to make you do this one for homework, and I'm going to make this a survey question. See if you can do this. And it's you follow what I do on 9, and you should be able to get this. Okay? All right. So this is the midpoint equation. So 3 is the midpoint. This is the x coordinate of midpoint, right? So this have to equal x1 plus x2 divided by 2, right? And x1 is 0, and x2 is just x2 divided by 2. And 5 have to equal 1 plus y2 divided by 2. So this is x2 over 2, and this is y2 over 2. And so that means that x2 have to equal, so this equals 3. Let's just write it again. This equals 3. This have to equal 3. So that means x2 have to equal 6, and this equal to 5. So y2 have to equal 10. And it does kind of make sense if you want to check it. This is 0, x went from 0 to 3, so it should be 6, right? 6. And then y went from y to 5, so that's 4. It was, this is already 1, so 5, and then you add 4. I'm sorry, this is 5, and this was 1. So this is 4. Should it be 9? 5 plus 4. I noticed a mistake. I forgot this 1 plus here. I'm sure you are wondering. Okay, so this equal 5. It should be 9. So 1 plus y2 is 10. Right? Because I forgot this 1 plus. So that means y2 is 9. And so it should be 9 because this is 1, that's 4, and then you add 4, it should be 9. Okay, so the coordinate of P2 is 6 and 9. Okay, now you try 10, and we're done.